Hey, everybody. Welcome. I am super excited to be here with you. And I've got about 25-30 minutes I want to spend with you and just really dive into a topic that I hear from clients all the time and have experienced myself. It is literally impossible to be an entrepreneur and go through the entrepreneurial journey and never make a mistake in an investment that you've made. Hey, Mara, welcome. So basically, I want to cover a couple of things because there's a lot of work that is required in order for you to be resilient in your business and get back on track, especially after you've made an investment that maybe was your last $10,000 or you put your whole heart, blood, sweat, tears, everything into the dream that you had to create it to be able to come into fruition. And, we take a chance on ourselves. And as entrepreneurs, especially as women entrepreneurs, we're sort of utilizing different methodologies of investing in ourselves and in our businesses. So, for example, you can't necessarily walk into a bank still in this modern day and age and get a $100,000 business loan for an online business. Now, if you were opening up a salon and you needed to purchase inventory and you were buying shampoo bowls and equipment and stuff like that, and you had a business plan, it's a lot different. So I know there have been a couple of companies that have come out over the past several years that are more apt to finance women entrepreneurs who are doing more online stuff and that sort of thing. Hey, everybody, say hello when you pop on here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions on the topic, post your questions in the comments below as well. So you could be self-funded. So I've been an entrepreneur for 9 years or for 16 years. I have been in the coaching industry for the past 9 years. Hey, Debbie, welcome. And for the most part, I have been self-funded, or I've had to get creative with means of funding to be able to invest in mentors, to be able to invest in online academy that I created. There's a bunch of different things over the years that I have had to do. Now, every single mentor or so-called expert or program or home study course, did I feel like energetically that the exchange was there, that I got a return on my investment? Not necessarily. And most of the people that you're going to invest in as a business owner can't guarantee you a return on your investment. Hey, Luke, welcome. So I just wanted to put that out there first, and then we'll talk about how to recover from those online or from the business investments. I'm stumbling over my words on Friday afternoon. But so if any of you have experienced this, raise your hand in the comments or say hello or say me. I know I'm not the only one because I've had plenty of clients who I have worked with over the past 9 years, especially in the coaching industry, and having sold millions and millions of dollars for other people's companies and doing thousands and thousands of sales calls with people from around the globe. I know that everyone has this story. Everyone has this experience. And one of the things that can occur, and this certainly came up on plenty of the sales calls that I was conducting, whether it was a phone call or an in-person thing selling at a live event, for example, is people think that the past can predict the future. So they tend to hang on to this. I'm never going to do X, Y, and Z again. I'm never going to invest in funnels again. I'm never going to invest in Facebook ads again or Instagram ads or whatever it is, because I paid $10,000 to this company. I paid another $15,000 in ad spend, and it didn't result in the way that I was expecting it to. So therefore, the best thing for me to do is to never repeat that same mistake again. And number one, it's impossible to make the same mistake twice because you are an evolutionary being. And I was told by a mentor this many, many years ago. And she said, Rebecca, you can't possibly repeat the same exact experience because you are a different woman today than you were 2 years ago when this happened. I don't even remember what specifically she was referring to, but anyhow, if you're just tuning in, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're watching the replay, let me know if you're like, oh my gosh, sister, you are speaking my language. I've done this before. I've beat myself up. I've judged and criticized myself. I've let fear hold me back. There's all kinds of ways that moving forward from this experience can show up in your life. And so we need to really know how to overcome that. So we can avoid doing that again if at all possible, because there are certain precautionary measures that you can take to lower the chances of making a bad business investment. I don't necessarily love that word. That's why I put unwise in the title. Hey Mario, welcome. But anyhow, so the point is that no one is here to give you a guarantee for the most part. I know as a business coach, I can't guarantee my clients' results, but I can tell my clients the results that the majority of my clients get when they follow the coaching. That's the key word, right? So sometimes, so I know it on both ends, right? I know it on the mentorship end, and then I know it on the investing in people end, because I have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in myself over the past 9 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars in my business to help it grow. And I've had dips, I've had upsets, I've had, I feel like ripping my hair out moments. And this is part of the entrepreneurial journey. And this is why the statistics are what they are. So for those of you who don't know, the longer you're literally playing at a game, that the longer you're playing the game, the greater your chances for failing are. So maybe that's why some people think entrepreneurs are crazy. I think it's literally ingrained in your DNA. I wouldn't be here 9 years later and having gone through all of the hardships that I've been through and investing all of the money that I have and still being committed to it if it truly wasn't a part of who I am as a human being on planet Earth. So let's say you invested whatever amount of money it was. For some people, it could be $500. For other people, it could be $50,000. There's no judgment here on how much you've invested or how much you haven't invested. What I do know to be true from speaking with thousands of women from around the globe over the past 9 years, I have clients from 10 plus countries and counting. And what the difference is it doesn't matter how much it is. What happens at the core, in the core wound, is you've broken your trust with self. Now, most people don't even work on building the trust with themselves to begin with. They're in lots of relationships with other people where they don't trust the other person because they haven't cultivated that trust within themselves. They're not willing to 100% bet on themselves and their successful outcome in business most of the time when the rubber hits the road. So I have been reading Iyanla Van Zandt's book called Trust, which is really a beautiful book. It is a book that you could read over and over again. I would consider it a resource book. And it will help you to understand how to trust yourself, how to trust others, how to trust life. It will be really beneficial for you to read that, because if you don't rebuild that disconnection with yourself and perhaps even go through some self-forgiveness practices, then it's going to be really challenging for you to move forward in your business. You're going to procrastinate, you're going to spin your wheels, and you're going to drift. And when other opportunities come along for you to invest in yourself that you feel strongly are the exact thing that are going to help you move forward in your business, you're going to stop yourself in your tracks, and you're going to create more stagnation in your business, and you're not going to move forward. And at the core of all of this, again, is self-trust. Now, there's some practical steps to this. I'm all about doing the inner work and all about doing the outer work. So that would be the inner work, right? Cultivating self-trust, continuing to build that muscle on a daily basis. That could be as simple as I said that I was going to go to the gym to be in a more healthy, fit state. And I went to the gym and I kept my word to myself. So when you keep your word to yourself, then you can begin to heal this gap between trusting yourself, which extends into trusting others. It extends into trusting perhaps your husband or wife. It extends into trusting your children. It extends into trusting that things are always working out for your benefit, which is a universal law. So please pay attention to that too. But there are some other practical things, right? So a big, huge red flag, folks, for anyone who is looking at investing in some kind of an expert, whether that is a business coach like myself or a marketing funnels person or a copywriter. I mean, the list goes on, right? I'm trying to think of other examples. If you think of other examples and you're watching this live, put them in the comments. I want to hear from you. But if you are investing with someone and there is no written contract, like you are not getting a contract through a company like HelloSign or DocuSign or all these different companies that are out there, big fat red flag, okay? Big fat red flag. If the person does not have a website, big fat red flag. There are a lot of red flags that you need to pay attention to. The next important thing is once you receive a contract, because I don't do business with anyone I don't receive contracts with at all, and I also send the people that I bring onto my team a non-disclosure agreement, and sometimes other agreements that are critical to me protecting myself as a businesswoman. So that's a big fat red flag right away. And then what you want to make sure you do from there, once you do get a contract from someone, is to make sure that what you have verbally discussed is in this contract. Because a lot of times people are just like, whoop, I'll just hit the little button on the computer and sign it away, and then boom. And the interesting thing to me about that is like that for me would be a pretty big demonstration of maybe being a little too trusting. And it really comes down to discernment, right? A smart, wise business person who is going to be sustainable long-term is going to have discernment. And that's what this comes down to. So if you do not feel confident enough, and this is totally okay, to read and review the contract to make sure the terms of agreement are in there in written form, then you need to go to a business attorney. And this is the part that a lot of people skip, and guess what? It will bite you in the ass, and it will cost you a lot more money down the road. Because if you don't read through the terms and agreements that you're signing on the dotted line to, you might be responsible for payments regardless of service delivery. There could be all kinds of things in this contract that you would never have agreed to had you taken the time to read through it. Now, listen, I've read through my fair share of contracts, personal and professional, over the years, and trust me, I understand sometimes it feels like you're reading French or Japanese. So, again, seek counsel if you need to, and get that assistance for someone to be able to walk through with you whether this is a sound contract or not. Hey, Tracy. And this can go both ways. Like when I've done sales for other companies, there were things that I requested to have added into the contract so that it could serve me. And, I waited for the company to agree to whether that was sufficient enough for them. They're little tiny details. You have to pay attention to the minuscule details because, again, they can come back to bite you in the ass. So this is where you would really want to seek an attorney if you're not able to go through this contract on your own, but don't be afraid to ask for what you need and want. And also to say, hey, listen, we had a conversation about XYZ. I need this bulleted in this contract before we can proceed with doing business. Now, another step is just because somebody says, I work like this, I only work in 3 months at a time, or I'm a VA and you have to buy 10 hours at a time. I don't work that way. I'm not available for that. That is not how my company runs. So you need to have your boundaries and your, scenarios of company policies, by the way, written down in a document so that you can follow them if you really want to operate like a true company. And then you need to honor those. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, I found this amazing woman who was doing Facebook ads for me. And she said, well, I need you to sign a 90-day contract. And I said, well, I don't work that way. I've done this before. I've gotten burned and I'm never doing it again. And I'm only working on a month-by-month basis. And there were some other terms of agreement in there that she and I created that were helping me to feel more trusting and comfortable to move forward with this type of investment again. So don't be afraid to ask for what it is that you want, or to have your rules of negotiation and to adhere to them as a company owner and say, listen, it's my company's policy to XYZ. Would you be willing to be flexible enough? There are tons of vendors out there that you can hire for funnels, copywriting, Facebook ads, business mentorship, all kinds of stuff. So really be an advocate for your own best interest, because no one else is going to come along and do it for you. You have to constantly be on your toes about what's going to work for you, what's not going to work for you. And then the other thing that is really critical after making an unwise business mistake is to be able to move forward. And again, the trusting yourself piece is really critical, but to sit down, and this is something that so many business owners don't take time to do. They don't say, hold on a minute, let's stop the cart. I am going to take an hour or a day or whatever it is and it needs to be for you. And for each situation, it might be different. So you really need to tune in to your own intuition and then honor that and evaluate like what worked, what didn't work, why. There have been times where I have gone back to people that I've hired and I've said, listen, I've reflected on this. Here's what I've come up with, but I know that I don't have the only vantage point. Could you please help me? And could you please let me know from your vantage point and from your dissonance? So dissonance from a situation is very, very helpful. To really be able to reflect and to identify like, well, where did I go wrong in the beginning? You want to know why I said don't ever engage in business with someone without a contract? Because I have, and I've gotten burnt and there wasn't a contract to uphold what was agreed upon. All I had was pencil and paper notes. I learned the hard way. That's why I'm coming on here to save you lots of time and money, because it is riveting as a business owner. It is absolutely, absolutely riveting to go through something like this, to enter into an engagement with a business mentor or a vendor for that example, and think you're going to get one thing and your hopes are high and you're ready to, hang your all your hopes over your dreams and think that you're going to trapeze into the next realm or whatever of success. And then to find out like things are not going along as I planned for them to go along. Hey, thank you. That's so sweet of you. Good to see you here. And so, really identifying and making a list of what worked, what didn't work, and why. That's really, really important. And you have to link all of these things back to your business mission and your why. What is your why in your business? So is this company's values lined up? Is this mentor's values in alignment with your values as a business owner? And so many people, especially in the online world, look, if you don't have to go into a bank like I talked about in the beginning and you're funding yourself in a different way, you're probably not sitting down and writing a 30-page business plan. I know when I first started my coaching company back in 2010, that wasn't part of the program that I signed up for. They weren't like, all right, guys, we're going to have a special retreat. It was more of a retreat of like understanding your business archetypes, which is super fun and cool, right? Like I love that as a woman entrepreneur, but the other components are really important too, right? There are these feminine, juicy things that feel really good, like to sit and to meditate and to visualize and to journal, and that's wonderful. But the masculine structures are there for you to thrive as a business owner too. And you guys know that I talk about your business ecosystem. If you do not have these two components amongst many other components in your business ecosystem, then that's why there's a challenge. Every single time when the business ecosystem is out of whack, it's because something is missing or something is contaminated. And we've talked about that on other Facebook Live trainings where you might have a team member that has to go. Delegation and automation are really huge and big, and organization. Those three fall into one of the quadrants that I teach my clients on how to really be successful. Another quadrant is your words and how you speak about yourself. Your trust or your lack of self-trust will show up in that quadrant every single freaking time. And then we talk about sales and sales psychology. Those things are really, really important. So you have to have all of these key components that are going to really help you to succeed and to thrive as a business owner. But all of these components, there are many different ones. Like I said, the contracts are going to support you. Sitting down and writing out a business plan and having your company mission and your company policies and procedures. I even give my clients a copy of my policies and procedures so that they know how I operate as a business owner. How are you demonstrating professionalism, right? So this might be a check-in for you to say, whoa, wait a minute, I haven't been doing contracts, Rebecca, or, I have this checklist that someone from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition gave me that I copied and modified, and I'm using this as a real example because in the very beginning, that is something that I did. Not too long did it take me realizing that I needed a professional attorney to write up my contracts and also to review them regularly, right? So it's not just like, hey, this is a once and done thing. No, you are an evolving person. Your business is an evolving entity. And so therefore you should be meeting with an attorney at least once a year to review the contracts, to make sure, to your own contracts, to make sure I promise you, it will save you so much time, energy, stress, and money in the long run. I promise you, promise you, promise you. You know, very few times in my company, I think maybe 2 times I had clients that wanted to get out of their contracts. And when this happened, one of them I did not want to work with anymore, number one. So I was happy to let her go because she was a total pain in the ass. And I don't want to work with people like that. She wasn't like that in the beginning. But the good news is that my contracts are so solid, I do not have any for a second hesitation and worry about, oh no, you know, can they do this? Can they do, nope. I know exactly what's in my contracts. I have reviewed them multiple times. I continue to review and revise them. And there is not a shadow of a doubt how solid that aspect of my business and in my business ecosystem is. So this could be a check-in on the flip side for you to think about that as a business owner of what systems and structures you have in place that are supporting you to be a confident, solid business owner. So once you make this list of like, well, what worked, what didn't work, and why, you know, it's not like you just made an unwise business investment. You wouldn't have handed the person your money or your credit card to begin with if you didn't have something in the positive column, right? So you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like this is part of evolving as an entrepreneur. And then after you do all of this and you got to tighten up the ship. You got to fix the problems in the business ecosystem. Most business owners are completely oblivious to what the real problems are in their business. They think the real problem is like, well, I'm not making as much money as I wanted to make. When in reality, they're like paying 2 assistants $500 a month and they're not even giving them work to do. I literally had a client who was doing that. So typically I use real examples from my own experience and my clients' experiences. So today is a really good check-in time for you to get real with yourself, to be honest with yourself, to decide how you're operating as a business owner. The other thing that I will say about this whole thing, because everybody likes to talk about the law of attraction. And so you might be thinking, whoa, how did I attract this crappy vendor or mentor into my life? Like this person turned into a vampire, you know, like it was a horrible situation. How? Because that's the other place that I see people get stuck in, what do they call it? Paralysis analysis? Exactly. Okay. So is to really, you know, evaluate like, well, why did I attract this? And they ask that question from the place of making themselves wrong. So it compounds the whole, remember I said 80% of your success is what's going on in here, and your words will reflect what that is. Hey, Victoria, welcome. Hey, Farah. Say hello when you guys are here. If you have any questions about delegation and making unwise business decisions, please post them in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, I want to hear from you. So anyhow, you know, that compounds the fact that you're already feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. You know, what's the dialogue that's going on, right? It's the internal dialogue, and the external dialogue are the clues to tell you what's going on in the internal dialogue of, you know, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have wasted this much money with this person. I should have stopped investing with them long ago. I've said all these things to myself, all of them. And then you add on to that the next component, right? Then you're feeling even more guilty and more crappy about yourself. So you really have to be gentle with yourself. Give yourself some grace. Again, these are expensive learning experiences. Sometimes they're extra expensive. But the good news is that you did receive value because you got to know yourself better as a business owner. You got to know what works and doesn't work for you as a business owner and why, if you're willing to do the work and take the time to evaluate. And then do not take the law of attraction and make yourself feel like shit. That is not the sprinkles on the cake. Sometimes, you know, you cannot think that you are the center of your universe. Yes, I do. And as I've mentioned, you're not the only one. We've all been through this. But you cannot take the law of attraction and think that the law of attraction is an ecosystem too. Everything is a freaking ecosystem, guys, okay? So it's like, you can't just think that you're the one who attracted this thing all by your own powerful and mighty self. We'll get the magic wand out for this one, right? Like, I just made this happen with my magic wand. No, there are so many other components that are playing into this. You might have had a soul contract to teach that person a lesson, and that's why you both attracted the situation that was less than desirable, okay? It's never just one thing, and it's never just one person. It's always a dance. So please, please, please do not compound everything in your current situation or your former situation by making yourself wrong and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm a bad person. What did I do to attract this to myself? Blah, 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 blah. The law of attraction is far more complex than that. And by the way, it's not even a law. It's not even a universal law. It's just been talked about so much. So anyhow, those are my tips for you today to get back into your grace and wisdom as a business owner and get grounded, forgive yourself, build the trust, write down the stuff of what worked, what didn't work, and then take the masculine action that you need to take, which is sometimes terminating an employee or a subcontractor, for example. And again, looking at, it's a lot easier. It's more in your control if we're talking about someone that you've hired onto your team. We'll do a whole nother live on that because that's a whole nother conversation. Because you should definitely have in your contracts about, a 2-week review, a 30-day review. A lot of entrepreneurs do not even know about this. You don't have any idea how many people I've worked with where I'm like, you are kidding me that you don't have this in place. So, but as far as investing in, and I want to just throw this out there as we wrap up too. It's not about just a financial investment. It is a time investment. It is an energetic investment. Now, I have worked with various coaches over the years. I'm going to do a Facebook Live on this, on how to know when to hire more than one mentor or more than one expert. Because I have literally worked with one constant of a coach for, I think, 8 years now. And so one of the benefits to that is like, if I were to skip around to like a bunch of different coaches, now I've hired different experts over the years for different reasons, but if I were going around to different coaches, I'd have to re-explain my story. They'd have to re-understand my business. Like, sometimes that gets annoying and redundant too. And there is a solution for that. This is where automation comes in. If you don't have a system for that, we should talk because it will make you a lot more successful and you'll have a lot of more time freedom in your own business. So I hope that you guys found today valuable. Please know that you have 3 things to invest at all times: energy, time, and money. So keep that in mind for when you go through this reevaluation homework assignment that I gave you. And please post in the comments if you have any requests for upcoming live topics. I would really love to hear from you. And if you are interested in getting a healthy business assessment, I am offering a few of those for free right now. And you can either post in the comments saying healthy business assessment, or you can PM me directly. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye.